are you? It's John Brewer here, South Florida's restaurant guy. I want to do a quick video about 5 mistakes that I see restaurateurs make, especially when it comes to a lease. So the first one is they don't know their audience. You need to know your audience. Are you geared towards millennials? Are you geared towards young parents? Are you geared towards kids? Are you geared towards seniors? You need to know your audience, and a lot of times what you need to know is who's not your audience, and that helps out as well. That can be just as important, knowing who is not your audience. If you're doing Ethiopian food or whatever it may be, you need to know who your audience is and who your audience isn't. You know, the younger generation now, they're very experimentative with food. They're into very ethnic type foods. You're seeing, you know, what used to be just Latin food. You're seeing Venezuelan, Peruvian, Puerto Rican. They're just the amount of flavors are really starting to open up. So you need to know who your audience is and who your audience is not, just as important. You don't know your competition. And when I say that, I mean that in basically two ways. General competition, so you know, McDonald's, Burger King, all those guys going at each other, and then within your area. So if you're opening up a pizza place, you want to make sure that there's not a pizza place or 5 or 6 pizza places within that area. Chinese food, whatever it may be. You want to make sure that you give yourself every chance to succeed, and crowding a market is not a smart move, especially when you're trying to open up your first restaurant. No contingencies on the lease. This is pretty important because I've seen a lot of guys go overtime trying to get their restaurant open. So say the landlord gives you 3 months free rent, whatever it may be. Your 3 months are up. Your rent starts kicking in, but you're not ready to open yet. The one thing I never want to see happen to a restaurant person is they have to pay rent before they open their doors. So what you want to do is make your lease contingent on getting permits, whether it's your building permit, and then you know the clock goes for 6 months, and then basically there's a clause in there that says 6 months or the commencement of opening your doors and being open for business. There's a lot of things you can do there, which brings me to my next point. That's a mistake people make. They don't negotiate their lease. You need to negotiate your lease. This is not a residential contract. Residential contracts are pretty standard except for the numbers. Commercial lease, on the other hand, is a very, very malleable document. It can be changed, altered. You can put different language in there. There's just the sky is the limit. I have seen leases that are all over the place. So you really want to dig in on those things. I've seen you got the use clause. You can broaden that or you can narrow that. You have to understand that the landlord is going to want to narrow things as much as he can, and you're going to want to broaden things as much as you can. And that's what the negotiation is all about, and that's what we do. I've done a number of negotiations, and you start off with the LOI, and the LOI gets everything going, and then you move to lease, and you push that back and forth as well. And my job is to get you the best terms possible so that you have the best chance to succeed. Guarantees can be negotiated. Caps on the CAM charge can be negotiated. Of course, you can negotiate the price. There are so many areas where you can negotiate and get things to be more in your favor. Underestimate the cost of permits and build out. I have seen this happen where people were just days away from opening their restaurant and they ran out of funds. Ideally, you want to have enough funds that you can sustain yourself for 6 months. That's paying labor, food costs, whatever it may be. But more importantly, when you're in the build out stage, don't underestimate your permits. Your permits are going to be costly. You can get those estimates. Go down, find out what that's going to cost you. And the same thing with your build out. Expect the unexpected and always budget for that. It's very important. You don't want to come limping opening a restaurant. You want to be hitting on all strides. Good example, I was part of a team that built out a restaurant, and one of the fixtures that we had was a wrought iron bar that basically came down from the roof where all the liquor would be stored. 2 weeks before opening, this piece came in. It was absolutely gorgeous. It also weighed about a ton. And when they went to mount it into the roof, it was an old building, they realized that the supports weren't there. P.S. had to put plastic bags down and open up the whole roof, and it took us another 2 months to get open. I don't want to see that happen to you. So make sure you look into these things beforehand, give yourself every chance to succeed. the restaurant business is hard enough. It's very rewarding. It's a very, very fun way to do business, especially if you're a people person. But give yourself every chance to succeed. Follow these 5 rules and you'll be in good shape. Even better yet, if you don't use me as a tenant rep, find someone who's a tenant rep, and especially somebody who understands restaurants. Because compared to most retail, restaurants are their own little being, and that's why that's all I do. Azor Brewer Restaurant Advisors, South Florida's restaurant guy, that's all I do is second-gen restaurant space. That space that's already been built out, so you can save on your build-out. Your impact fees have been paid. Your ADA bathrooms are compliant. We'll check that right away to make sure that they are. Your hoods, always a big expense. Your grease trap, which is a big expense. And whatever furnitures and fixtures may come along with it can really go a long way to reducing your budget, which means you're reducing your risk to get your restaurant opened and going. So if you're in South Florida, you want to do a restaurant, you're thinking about it, give me a call, 561-573-7333. My name is John Brewer. I am with Azor Brewer Restaurant Advisors, and I am the South Florida restaurant guy. I'm your guy.